Have you ever wondered if a 3-day cruise is just a waste of money? I certainly did. I said I'd never go on such a short cruise. It's too rushed, too expensive, and frustratingly over before you even unpack. But about a month ago, when we could only take a few days off, we reluctantly booked one instead of a hotel on the beach for a couple of nights, and were very surprised by our experience. If you're new here, I am Kat, and I'm all about helping you get the most out of your cruise. And by the way, small hint, that little like button on this video helps more people find these cruise tips. Now, my last video was about a major shift that Royal Caribbean has announced, where they're moving more ships to shorter sailings. And I received an incredible number of comments from people who say they would never go on a short cruise because they're a waste of time and money. And I agree, there are many cases where that might be true. At the same time, for many people, that's the only time that they can take off work for a cruise. Or for many others, that's the only type of a cruise that their vacation budget will allow. Now today, I'm revealing how short cruises have completely transformed and exactly how to get the better experience from a budget-friendly 3-day sailing. Whether you dismiss these quick getaways or you're curious about trying one, you're about to see short cruises in a whole new light. So let's start with the ships themselves. Back in the day, short cruises meant older, smaller ships with limited amenities. So if you wanted more amenities, you had to book a 7-day cruise on the newer ships in the fleet. Short cruises were basically the hand-me-downs of the cruise world. But now that's completely changed. And these aren't just your boring weekend cruisers on old ships anymore. We're talking about the biggest, most amenity-packed ships in the world now doing 3 and 4 night sailings. So how do you maximize this opportunity? Well, first of all, research what ships have been recently amplified. Trust me, it makes a big difference. We just sailed on Allure of the Seas in January for that 3-night cruise right before it went into dry dock for a huge amplification project. They're adding new water slides, new venues, completely transformed spaces, and it makes a big difference in your experience. Second, choose the cruise line that aligns with your vibe. If you want a fun, younger atmosphere, Carnival might be your jam, but Royal is competing for that space. If you prefer something more sophisticated, look for celebrity short cruises. Now, MSC is currently offering some really low pricing as they're trying to break more into US market, and their newer ships are amazing. So each line has their personality, and matching it to your preferences is the key to get the best out of it. Finally, don't automatically book the cheapest sailing. Sometimes paying just a little more gets you a significantly better ship with way more things to do. So that extra couple $100 might be the difference between just having a basic pool deck and a ship with water slides, flow riders, and multiple pools. Short cruises used to mean limited port stops, so it was usually just a basic stop at the beach or go shopping for some t-shirts and souvenirs. And if you wanted interesting ports, again, you had to book those longer cruises. But now, cruise lines are transforming their private destinations into premium experiences that rival major resorts. The biggest example right now is Perfect Day at Coco Cay, that has the massive water park, multiple beaches, premium options like cabanas, it has zip lines, it has the helium balloon. Now Carnival is following suit with Celebration Key with its massive renovation to create one of the best island experiences at sea. And I know this is a hot topic. Some people say they want the authentic destinations over these manufactured experiences. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you like these private beaches or do you prefer traditional ports. And it's worth noting that if you don't want the theme park atmosphere, cruise lines like Norwegian and MSC still offer those quieter beach experiences at their private destinations. So how do you maximize your port experience? Well, first of all, research what's included versus what's cost extra. At Perfect Day at Coco Cay, for example, most beaches and pools are free, but there are attractions like the water park and the zip line that require an extra fee. Consider which paid experiences are actually worth the splurge. Sometimes That $50 admission to the paid area might be worth every penny if you're spending the whole day there and you want a quieter area to enjoy. And here's another tip. Sometimes staying on the ship during port days gives you an almost empty ship experience. I covered that in detail in another video here. In fact, I went over 12 overlooked reasons to stay on the ship nowadays, and that was just one of them. So if you're interested, check that out later. In the past, for short cruises, you could really only choose the basic interior, ocean view, and standard balcony cabins. Your options were really limited for those specialty type of cabins. But today's short cruises offer the same diverse options as longer sailings. So you can choose things like virtual balconies that bring ocean views to interior rooms. You can have interior promenade views overlooking the ship's main thoroughfare, and specialty options like boardwalk balconies on Oasis class ships. Now, your ideal cabin will depend on your personal preference. If you spend minimal time in the room just because you're busy exploring the ship, then a side cabin is incredible value. Now, on the flip side, if your idea of bliss is sitting on a balcony, watching the waves for 3 days straight, then that balcony cabin will be worth every penny. Short sailings used to mean limited dining options because smaller ships had maybe one specialty restaurant if you were lucky, and the main dining room menu was often simplified compared to longer cruises, and the buffet was smaller too. But with bigger ships now sailing these short itineraries, you have access to the same amazing dining options as the 7-night cruises. So you have multiple specialty restaurants, you have enhanced main dining room menus, and you have unique venues that previously you could not have on a weekend sailing. And this is where the short cruises really shine value-wise. Unlimited dining packages are significantly cheaper for 3 and 4 days than for a full week. So to give you an example, on our recent 3-day cruise on Allure, we got the unlimited dining package and ate at a different specialty restaurant every meal for less than a 3-night dinner package that we paid for on a 7-day cruise. Drink packages used to be a questionable value on short cruises because with limited time on board, it was hard to consume enough to break even, especially with the high package prices. But drink prices have been increasing across the board too, which is not a great news. And now there are more options, including non-alcoholic packages that can still have a good value. So to get more bang for your buck is first do the math. Drink packages are significantly cheaper for 3 and 4 days than for a full week, making it easier to afford. And of course, you still need about 5-6 drinks per day to make it worthwhile. Now here's something very important that many people overlook. Check if your dining package works at private islands. On Royal Caribbean, your package will work at both Coco Cay and Labadee. But on Carnival and Norwegian, with the least space from those countries, your package often does not work ashore. So this can make a big difference in the value calculation if you're spending a full day out of your 3 days at their private destination. Because most cruise lines allow a small amount of wine or canned drinks. So again, if you're bringing 2 bottles of wine that you're allowed to on a cruise for a week, it doesn't go nearly as far as 2 bottles of wine for 3 days. Short cruises used to mean smaller ships with limited activities, so many people found them just boring with the basic pool, maybe a small casino, and not much else to do. Today's short cruises offer the same incredible array of activities as longer sailings. So you'll still get those Broadway-style shows, the adventure activities like rock climbing and surfing simulators. The options are really endless depending on which ship and line you choose. And here's the thing, don't feel pressured to do everything. I hear so many people say, they're stressing out, they're saying, I cannot possibly fit everything in. Well, you don't have to. Having many choices is an advantage, so don't look at it as a source of anxiety. Just study the daily schedule the night before, figure out what it is that you really like to do, and you can do that on your ship app, and prioritize the events, especially those one-time events, over activities that repeat throughout your cruise that you really want to do. And remember, it's your vacation. Some people want to do everything while others just want to park by the pool with a good book. Both approaches are perfectly valid on a short cruise. Formal nights required extensive packing, and airlines had more generous baggage allowances back then, making it easier to bring everything you might need. And now, with airlines decreasing baggage fees and cruise line becoming more casual overall, packing strategies have changed, and more people are choosing to skip formal night or pack more versatile options. So the best way to maximize this is that while packing a carry-on only for 7-day cruise is pretty challenging, it is very doable for a 3-day cruise. You can pack versatile clothing that works for multiple occasions, have some wrinkle-free options instead of formal wear, and now you have less time managing luggage and you have more time to spend on your short getaway. Ultimately, short cruises aren't what they used to be, and with the right approach, they can deliver really good value. And if you're interested in learning more about maximizing your cruise experience, watch these videos next.